Okay, let's start. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rachel Adani. I'm the CEO of CareGivers Israel. I'm very, very happy that you joined us today. I'm starting to recognize some faces and names from other webinars. It's very important to us to meet you in these terrible days. And with me is Dudu Ochayon from the Population and Immigration Authority that you can write questions in the chat for him and he can answer later. And today we are hosting Dr. Michal Hertz that will introduce herself, and let's hope that we have one quiet hour in this evening to be together and feel together for each other. Thank you very much, Michal. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I will share my screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, okay.
So, first of all, I wanted to thank you all for turning up for this webinar. Finding time to stop and learn and think and connect is incredibly difficult these days. And today what we're trying, or what I'm hoping to talk to you about, is thinking about a new routine and day-to-day life and how we gain control of our feeling of life and understanding of our job and what we're doing. And it's basically the phrase that we all know, fake it till you make it. That's basically what we're going to be thinking about during the next hour, what we're going to try and practice. I'm going to offer you to join me in a WhatsApp group that we're actually going to try and practice making ourselves feeling more observant, more in control, more positive, and thinking of ways to really help us ground ourselves. So that's what we're looking at. I'm a doctor in psychology and old age. The field of my specialty is dementia and dementia care. And I did my research about homes that there is somebody like you looking after a person with dementia, and there are a couple, a husband and a wife. One of them is the person you're looking after, and you're living with both of them. So I always love coming back to groups of metaplot and metaplim, and I'm really pleased to be with you guys here today. If you want to say something, if you want to ask something, please do so. Okay. So I think that the first thing that I want to say is that the image that I'm walking around with since the 7th of October is kintsugi, the Japanese art of when something breaks, not throwing it away, but putting it together and using gold and beauty to put it back in place. And I think that that's part of the journey that we're trying to do now. I'm not sure we've put together our understanding of the world and our new reality. But what I'm hoping for all of us is that we will get our shape back. We will get back to understanding how things work, where our home is, what our home is, where the Merkaz Yom is, the day center if we go. You know, if you used to go to a Ginat Tziburi, to a garden with your Saba or Safta that you're looking after, and you can't go anymore, going back to them, going back to the Kupat Cholim you're used to, and going back to all of those things that we knew. And the shape is very important because for a lot of us, it feels like everything has changed. Everything has changed and we have to figure out things, but a lot of things haven't changed. If you're looking after somebody who has diabetes, they still have diabetes. If you're looking after somebody who has high blood pressure, they still have high blood pressure. So there are a lot of things that are the same, but the feeling is different. And the feeling is different for a lot of us. If you're in your home, if you had to move homes, I'm sure that your families from overseas are very worried. I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced a lot of pain and loss in your communities and around, in the families that you're caring for. So it's something about trying to remember what the whole is, what the reality is in this context. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And I want to talk to you about why this is so difficult. Why is it so difficult for us to feel that life is going back to normal, that we know what's going on, that we feel confident, that we feel happy, that we feel in control? Why can't we find those feelings? And I want to give you this example. I want to first of all say that our brain has one main job in its life. Our brain job is to keep us alive as animals, as living creatures. That's the first thing that we're supposed to do. That's why when we learn things, the first thing we learn how to do is avoid pain, avoid something that's dangerous for us, right? If you touch a hot pot, your hand will move back very, very quickly, and you'll learn not to touch it rapidly, right? You only have to get hurt once to learn that something is bad. You only have to somebody has to say something to you, nastily offend you once, and you know you don't like that person. We as creatures learn to look after each other. Learning to trust, learning to love, learning to believe takes much longer. The fact that somebody was polite to you, the fact that somebody smiled to you once, doesn't mean that you will trust them. It means that you're thinking that they might be okay. And that's the healthy way of being for us as animals, as creatures. That's safe. So that already explains to us why at the moment we're all feeling very scared, because we have seen a lot of things that are very scary, and all of our alarm bells are going on like mad. And we're all in that situation, and we're all now trying to think of ways to start thinking about calming down those alarm bells. Now, what is the picture here? They did a beautiful piece of research, okay? And the piece of research was, let's say you go out in the day and you walk around and you had 50 shekels in your pocket and you lost those 50 shekels, okay? You lost them when you were walking in the street. Most of us, when we lose our 50 shekels, will feel, I don't know if you have your microphones on, if you can speak, but what do you feel if you lost 50 shekels when you were walking in town? Anybody speak? No.
לא,
Okay.
מיכל, אני חושבת שהם לא יכולים to unmute.
They can't speak. They can't unmute. Okay, that's fine. So I'll talk. But when we lose 50 shekels, then we're angry and we're frustrated and we're annoyed, and we say to ourselves, "Oi, we're so silly. If we only paid attention, and if we would have put it in our wallet, and if we would have put it there, and if we wouldn't have been talking on the phone at the same time." And it's because we're trying to do the wheelchair and to give them something to drink, and the basket and the halichon isn't good enough. We're not good enough. We should be more responsible. These things always happen to us. We get very angry about these 50 shekels, right? So, and we'll remember. I remember the last time I lost 50 shekels, we'll remember that. So let's say this is the level of anger and frustration and bad feelings for losing the 50 shekels, okay? What the research wanted to check was, how much money did we have to find to feel the same level of happy as the level of upset? about the 50 shekels. And that's the interesting part. There's something in the chat here. We'll be scared when we lost 50 shekels if the employer sends us to the super to buy something. Definitely. And then, you know, we'll learn how to keep it well. Exactly. We'll try and learn from it. We'll try and improve from it. We'll do all kinds of things about it. Yeah. How much money, and if you can type, that's great. How much money do you need to find, do you think, to feel as happy, to balance out the upset that you felt for 50 shekels? Is 50 shekels enough? Is 10 shekels enough? Do you need to find more, find less? If you can, type in a number. Let's see what numbers we get. No amount of money, but we've learned to value it next time. That's an excellent answer. And what the research saw was the amount of money to get a fist pump as excitedly as the 50 shekels is between 4 and 5 times the amount of money. So to be happy enough, we'd have to find about 200 to 250 shekels, okay? Which is a huge amount of money. And that's one of the problems. Learning to be positive is much, much harder than learning to be negative. And also, finding 200 shekels, we won't feel that teaches us as much. And here, somebody's saying that they will feel irresponsible as well. Finding 200 shekels won't necessarily teach us anything about ourselves. We won't say, I found 200 shekels because I am such a wonderful person, and I look around at the world, and I pay attention to detail, and I deserve it because I'm such a good metapelet, and I always remember everything, okay? We won't say that about ourselves. So we learn a lot faster and a lot stronger from the negative things and much less from the positive things. And we have to remember that that's the way we do things, and that's the way we correct ourselves. So part of what we're trying to do, and part of what I'm trying to offer you in this hour, is to remember that we need to actively look for the good and to look for those things that can strengthen us and that can strengthen our positive outlook on what's happening. And I kind of want to remind us all of our superpowers, okay? At the moment, a lot of us feel very powerless, that we don't have that many superpowers, that we don't have a lot that we can do that can make things feel better or safer or calmer. A lot of us also feel that we don't remember what used to be our superpowers, what used to be the things we did very well. I heard an interview yesterday with one of the mothers whose daughters are kidnapped at the moment. And she was saying that she's talking so much about her daughters and how wonderful they are and how much she wants them at home and how much she misses them, that she's forgetting the reality of her daughters, of what it was like in the day-to-day to be their mom. And she's trying to remember now getting angry at them for being on the TikTok for too long and taking too long to get out of the house, and the crop top shirts that she used to argue with them about. And through remembering those things, she was remembering her superpower of being a real mother to real children, and not just the way she is a mother now, a mother who is very worried and doesn't know how and if and when she'll see her children again. So part of our superpower is remembering how we did things and why we did things and what did and didn't work. And your superpower as mטפלים and מטפלות, and the reason you have all been absolutely excellent over the days and years that you've been looking after your מטופלים, is because you took responsibility and you managed the day and you manage the routine, and you know what a good day looks like and what a bad day looks like, and you manage to create it. And I want to remind you the power of a routine when we're providing support and care for our old people. And this is specifically why caregiving with old people is important, especially if they've had to move places, especially if they're confused or with dementia or not feeling well. So the first thing about a routine and knowing what's happening is that it takes down levels of stress and anxiety, okay? Especially when we're feeling out of control of life, disorientated. Any change can cause stress and anxiety. A routine, as small as it can provide structure, can provide little anchors, little things in the day that helps us understand that the world is under control. What is happening and when? These actions become a routine, and the body begins to know what is coming next. And even if you're not in your regular home, and if you're moved, or even if you are in your home and you're just feeling that anxiety, we can increase signs of routine and cues of routine, okay? We can, for example, add on that before we drink coffee every morning, we sing the same song together, or we move to a different chair, or we do something that helps us with that routine. When I worked in care homes, we realized that it was very hard to tell people when lunch was happening. And we started to help with that routine, putting some food in the oven 10 minutes before lunch was on, just for the sake of the smell. Having that smell of food, okay, a toast in the toaster, making an extra cup of coffee, something about the smell reminded people that they needed to eat. So thinking about little things in the routine that we can do to help build that into the day, to help the day feel even more understandable than it was. When we follow a clearer routine, it improves the quality of sleep. And we know that over and over again. So even if it's a different environment, figuring out when we get up, when is lunchtime, when we go out for a walk, when is nighttime, putting all of those things in place, even if it's different to what it used to be, can improve quality and length of sleep. People sleep longer when they understand what the day is like, and the body understands it better as well. It increases the comfort and the faith in knowing that needs will be met. It makes me trust you more, and it reduces my anxiety. So even though the world might have changed, you are trustworthy. I can believe in you. I know that you will be there and you will be doing the same things for me in the same way over and over again, even though the reality is changing. And that's very, very important. Even if they trusted you before, even if it was good before, the more people are worried, the more atmosphere is worried and anxious, the more we can give people things they can trust, the better we are. And it also speeds up and helps with the building of trust in that relationship. So it really puts things in place that can help us move forward in a better way together. Okay, I'm just going to stop for a second to see if there are any questions in the chat or any comments, because I can't see the chat at the same time. No, I can't see anything. Yeah. So I'm going to continue. Ah, now I can see the chat again. Excellent. Now, what I want to share with you now is Maslow's pyramid of needs. Because when we think about the routine, we need to think about it on different levels. We need to think about what you need and what your mitupalim need to feel good. What are the basics and what are the high level things, okay? And from now on, I want you to be thinking not about only what you're doing as a metapel, what are you doing for them, but what are you doing for yourself? And this is very important because if we're not doing this for ourselves, we run out of energy and we can't do it for others. And Maslow's pyramid of needs says that for us to feel good and to feel that the world is treating us right, there are lots of things that have to take place. And none of them are necessarily easy or obvious. On the most basic level, the bottom of the pyramid is physiological needs. And you can see that the bottom is the biggest bit, and a lot of us spend a lot of time worrying about these things. And it's things to do with food, drink. Do we have a comfortable place to sleep? Are we safe? Are we hot? Are we cold? Are we in pain? Are we taking our medication? Has something else come up? Lots of physiological needs, okay? And a lot of the day is around this, is around the physiological needs that people have. Are we meeting them? Can we meet them? And do they change? Now, in each one of these things, we can make things better or worse for us, okay? So it might be that part of looking after ourselves is saying, in my physiological needs, I'm making sure that once a day, I have a really nice cup of coffee. Or that no matter what, my water bottle always has very, very cold water in it. Or that when I go to the supermarket, I buy fresh ginger because I like fresh ginger in my water. In every one of these things, we have to think about what are we doing that maximizes our needs as well. We can't get it all done all the time, but thinking about in each one of these categories, what are we doing for ourselves and what are we doing for the metupal? And is there something for the metupal that we know that will make the day extra good for them? And again, I'm constantly tying this back to control, because a lot of the things that we do automatically. We do out of habit. And what I want you to do, again, tying back to the money that we lost in the road and trying to get to our 200 shekels, is saying, this is what I'm doing to make them happy, to make it better. This is a thing I'm doing for the positivity of it, and really trying to practice that. So that's on the physiological needs level. On the safety needs level, people need to feel that they're secure, that the environment is predictable, that they know what's going to happen, that there's order, that there's stability, that they're calm, that there's routine. All of those things are happening in the same place. And again, how are they happening for you and how are they happening for them is very important. And they're very similar to a certain extent to the physiological needs. There's a lot in common there. Hey, those basic things of what is my environment like? Is it pleasant? Is it safe? In my safety needs and in my physiological needs, there's also the need for movement and air. Am I getting out? Am I seeing fresh air? Even if it's 10 minutes a day. If I can't go for the long walks that I used to go, where can I go now? How am I getting my breaks? Okay. I had a family call me where the metapelet lives with the ima, with the safta, and the family say that the woman was always a woman that was not an easy person to live with. The children didn't find her as an easy ima. And the metapelet has been here with her for a long time. But since the war has started, the metapelet always went for her day off a week to an apartment with her friends. And that apartment now doesn't have a safe room, doesn't have a mamad. And the metapelet is very scared to be in a place without a mamad, and the family is very scared for her to be in a place without a mamad. And so the metapelet now hasn't had time without the woman for a month and a half. It might be that some of you are in a similar position. And the mother is getting to be more and more difficult. And the metapelet, quite rightly, is getting more and more frustrated and tired. And the family were saying, we don't know what to do. Should we take the mother to the doctor for medication? And the conversation that I had with them was, listen, I'm not sure that will help. What you really need to do is think about the metapelet. If she has been with somebody that you say is hard to be with, and you find hard to be with for half an hour or an hour, and she's been with her for 5 weeks without a break, you have to figure out a way for her to have a break. And the family thought, and they came up with a lot of different solutions. They thought about maybe the metapelet could come and stay with one of them in a home, or maybe they would pay for one night for her in a hotel, or maybe there's a different apartment that has a mamad. And together they found ways to think about it, to think about ways to give the metapelet a break. And the family also actively said, we understand she can't take, it's harder to find a place for a night, but maybe we need to come for more time during the week to let her go out for a walk on her own and meet friends at different times, and we will be with our mother so she can continue to care. Okay, so when we're talking about the safety, the physiological needs, and those things, this can come into part of the conversation. And that goes to our next level of social needs. Okay, so the third level in Maslow's pyramid is after I've looked after myself, I feel safe, I'm not in pain, I'm not hungry, I need to be in interactions, I need to be with other people. And how does that happen now? Are we with the same people? Are we with different people? Can we meet up? Can we FaceTime more? Are we joining Zoom calls just to hear other people and see other stories? Are we managing to talk to our family regularly? And giving that kind of support and intimacy is very important, and finding the time for that. And I know of metaplot who their family overseas have been very worried about them and very worried about the situation. And part of what they've started doing is doing little WhatsApp groups that they do little video recordings and send it to people that they love from overseas, explaining what life is like here and explaining the small things, you know, explaining if it's easier or harder to go to Kupat Cholim, if things in the supermarket have changed. How do you know if there's a siren? What does it mean to go to a safe room? What is it like? All of those things are things that unfortunately you all know now very well, but people out of the country don't understand what it's all about. And for a lot of people saying that just explaining that every day helps explain and make logic into this non-logical situation that we're in. Our esteem needs, what makes us feel good about ourselves, our achievement, our dignity, our mastery. For a lot of us, some of this is about trying something new, and that something new can be downloading a mindfulness app. It can be starting with your metupal to see something together, a series on YouTube, or playing together a new game, you know, that you can do together, doing a Sudoku together, or a Candy Crush, or a puzzle on a tablet, things like that. That feeling that you're in control and you're managing to do something. For some of you, maybe it's buying a book of coloring in mandalot and creativity. I can tell you that during these times, I like doing needlework and sewing and knitting. And every day that I manage to do a little bit of that, that helps me feel better. I'm not learning anything new. I'm not trying new stitches, but it helps feel better and some mastery. And then the highest level is the self-actualization needs. That's like who we really want to be when we manage to go into growth and understanding, beauty, morality, and playing, being able to imagine and play and do something else. And again, with our mefונים as well, finding those things that can make them feel more playful and happier. And it's the small things. It's things like, do we want to go outside and go to the playground and see children playing and enjoy that? Or buy bubbles, you know, that we blow bubbles and watch the bubbles burst outside and the colors. Go outside and smell what it smells like after the rain. All of those things that add to our feeling of engagement with the world for a couple of minutes. And one of the things I want to leave you with is I made a table like this for you guys, and I'm going to share it with you in the chat in a minute. The sheet has 2 pieces of paper. It has the same table for yourself, and it has the same table for the person you're looking after. And what I want you to invite you to do is to sit down and write for yourself what in these things made you feel good and made you feel in control, and that you know what's happening in the past, okay, before all of this started, just as a reminder. And try during the week to put something in the box for every category each day, or at least for some of the categories each day, because it's very, very easy to forget about the good things that we're doing and just get caught up in the everyday and in the worry and in the not managing. And I really want to invite you to try and do these things and to try and find a way to show yourselves that you're doing good. So I just shared with you a PDF document, which is that sheet of paper that I created for all of you. And I invite you to open it and to download it and to save it for yourselves and try and do it. Try and practice for a week or two, looking at it and saying, what did I do today that I know makes me feel good about myself, things that I can do, things that I can action. What did I do for my metupal today that made them feel safe, that they enjoyed in terms of food and movement, all of those things, and just write them down. That's good for you. It's also very good if you want to show the family and share it with them and give a bit of an understanding of what you're really trying to do to make things better for them on the day-to-day. Because again, the day-to-day now, it's hard. It's hard to find the positive things. And I promise you that if you manage to, for a week or so, write things down, and at the end of the week, see that actually here I've done a bit of this and a bit of that, and these are the good things from the week, it will help you feel happier about what's happening and what you're doing. So that's that table that I wanted to share with you. And I really invite you to try and do it, to try and write it, to try and think about it. And this is the last thing I wanted to share with you, and something that I want to invite us all to do. I'm going to drop a link to a chat for you to add. This is all trying to do too many things at the same time. I'm going to drop this link into our chat, and I want to invite you all Wait a second, sorry. And I want to invite you all, into this group. Wait a second. Here you go. Okay. Now, what is this group? I realized that one of the things that when I feel low, I do, is I look at my camera roll. I look at my camera roll to remind myself of things that I have in my life that are very good and very positive. There are pictures there of my family, of places I've been to, of holidays, of things that make me happy. And when I looked at my phone and at my camera from the last month, there is nothing that makes me happy there. Okay? And it's very hard to find things that make you happy. And I was thinking about the time of year now and about Diwali and about the fact that we're coming up to the end of that we're in November, and if you follow an Advent calendar, then soon it's the countdown to Christmas and winter, and looking for those points of life and light. And thinking that when we see things of beauty that spark joy and happiness, it helps us feel better. And that what I wish for myself is, when I want to be happier, to look down into my phone. At the moment, when I look in my phone, it's lots and lots of groups of volunteering and helping and trying to help people in a very painful situation. I want to create for us a group that encourages us to actively create positive nuggets in the world for us. So this is how it's going to work. And I need this as much as I hope you guys do. So, you're the first group that I'm trying this with. And my aim is at least to see if we can keep this going until the 1st of Jan 2024. So keeping us going through Christmas. And every day, I will send a message. I promise to send a message every day with an idea of something to take a picture of. I promise it won't be complicated. It will be the color yellow or red or something like that, or a square or a circle. Nothing complicated, okay? And what I'm asking for you is, during your day, when you're doing your job, when you're walking around with your metupal, take a picture. Take a picture and share it with the rest of us. If it works, and if everybody on this call takes part, that means that every day we should all be seeing 30 pictures that made somebody smile. So we might be getting 30 extra smiles a day, which I personally could use at the moment. When you get a picture, if you want to respond to it, put an emoji on it. If you want to say something about it, let's keep the group for the photos. Send a message in private to that person. My grandmother, who was a very, very smart person, always walked around in her handbag with an envelope that already had a stamp on it and a little notepad and a pencil. And if she went somewhere and somebody said something kind or did something nice, she straight away wrote a thank you letter and sent it to them in the post. There's something wonderful about knowing that somebody in person bothered to say something nice to you. And just reaching out, that doesn't mean that we have to start a great friendship, but it's just sending a message saying, hey, that picture that you took really made me smile or changed my day, or I showed it to my savta and she said that it was wonderful, something like that. And hopefully help ourselves build a bit back into our life of finding those things, so it won't be finding 250 shekels on the street, but it will be finding that little penny that we pick up and makes us happy. Okay? So that's kind of the idea of this exercise. And I really hope that when we finish the lecture, I'll go into the WhatsApp group and I'll see that I'm not there on my own, and that you're willing to try and play this game with me and see how it makes us feel. If it doesn't make you feel good, leave. Absolutely fine. But a lot of what we're trying to do now in the world of psychology and in the world of control and routine is trying to find these little anchors, trying to find these little things in the day that will mean that we're opening up the WhatsApp group for something small that makes us happy. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today, share with you. I wanted to once again, reiterate and say thank you all for all of the incredible work that you're doing, which is hard enough in normal times, and in these times it's just really unimaginable. I volunteer. One of the things I do is for one of the Chevrot Siyud. I was volunteering metaplot in the first few weeks that were around the Otef, around Gaza, seeing if you were okay, if you needed anything, where you were moving to, and hearing some very, very hard stories and very heroic stories and very caring stories about what you are all doing and the decisions you needed to make and are still making. And I just really want to share how much I respect and honor your choices and your ability to do what you're doing in routine and under the circumstances. So that was what I wanted to share with you today. We still have some time if people want to.
Yeah, you can unmute yourselves now. So
okay, you're saying that the file isn't opening. Okay, that's a good input. I'll add the file as a PDF into the WhatsApp group. From there, it will open up better. I can do that after the call. That's fine.
Can you share, Michal, if something is going on the WhatsApp group?
I can open up my WhatsApp group. Ooh. I can tell you guys.
If there are any question from the Population and Immigration Authority, this is the time, or questions to Michal, speak up.
Yep. Yep, there are already 8 of us in there. 7 of you guys have already joined, so please, it's good to see some of you in here already. Keep on joining, and you can share it around with other metaplot if you want to, with pleasure. I can't see any questions in the chat. I don't know if there are any questions.
No, just a comment in the chat that says that thanks for this opportunity, man.
Okay, yep.
I'm happy to share photos every day. It's something makes
excellent
30+ people smile. If someone wants to speak up, this is your time. Michal, once they join the WhatsApp group, we can send them later the recording of this webinar.
Yeah, definitely. The recording of the webinar can be sent in this group as well. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And we're on to 12 already. That's great. You can keep the WhatsApp group, think about it, and decide if you want to join. You can also join and be silent and see if it works for you. That's absolutely fine. This is, a new thing that we're trying to see if it works. By no means am I sure that it is going to be a success. It might be a terrible failure, and then we can all leave together. At least we know we tried. Okay.
Can we ask if you want to share if some of you were evacuated from your homes? You can write it in the chat. You don't have to share it loudly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, Michal, you can end. You can wrap.
Yeah.
If
No,
there
so
are
once
no
again,
questions.
so no more questions. Judy, did you want to say something?
No, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and we are for if someone want to ask some question for us, we are here. אני אגיד לך מה, אנחנו פשוט, חלק מאלה שנמצאים פה הם עובדים זרים מפונים, שיצאו, שעזבו את הבתים שלהם, המטפלים שלהם, ונמצאים כרגע במקומות אחרים, לא בבתים הגבוהים שלהם. השאלה, כאילו, אם אנחנו לא מספיק התמקדנו בזה בהרצאה.
אנחנו גם לא יודעים אם הם פה. זאת השאלה ששאלתי, אנחנו לא יודעים. מיכל, אולי תמקדי, תשאלי גם את, אז נראה.
Okay, so just to emphasize that when we're, there's a question now about immigration and visas. Just to say that part of, the talk, because I don't know if you're in your regular place or in a new place, then I think that if some of you are in different locations and trying to reestablish a new routine, then part of the exercise when we're thinking about Maslow is thinking about a normal week in September that you had before this all started, and what were those parts of the week that were very, very strong, and what do you need to translate to your new environment? What can be translated, what can be strengthened, and what needs to wait. It's also about setting those priorities in a new routine, because if you used to be just the two of you in an apartment and now you're with the whole family, so there are the advantages and there are the disadvantages to that. On the one hand, you can increase a lot of the social interaction. You can do a lot of engagement. From your perspective, it might be harder because you don't have as much control over the daily routine. But part of it is also being able to, part of the advantage of writing down what's important is it can enable a conversation with the family if there's suddenly much more. If you can say to them, this is the routine that Saba used to have. We used to do this every morning, and this is how we used to be calm, and now we're not doing it. It's easier to explain it if you think about it and exactly break down the day to what were the anchors in the day, what were the parts of the day that were better, worse, that helped you work your way through the system, and then share it. Because it's different for the family. If you've moved and you're with a family, it's different for them as well. It's very different if you're staying in a hotel. It's different if you're in a new place. But being able to break it down to communicate change is really, really crucial for people to understand why you need things to happen in a certain way. And that it's not just, this is how we always did it. But if you know that the fact that you and Saba would go out for a walk every day at around 11 o'clock before lunchtime, and actually they liked having lunch at 11:30 and being in bed by 1 o'clock, and that was the routine that was good for them, and you can remember that by using a chart and writing it down and mapping out the week, then being able to explain it to the family is important, because it's not just a random idea of yours, but it's the way that Saba felt healthy and safe and less anxious. And those are the things we need to find and remember and try and move on. And know that even if it broke down now because of the circumstances, when some routine comes back, we have a better chance of reestablishing them. But that's why the writing down of the patterns can really help move things forward. Yeah, does that help clarify that point? Okay. It's very hard because I don't know how many are, you know, who's where and what's going on. But yes, thank you for that question.
So there is a question for Dudu. את רוצה לתווך, מיכל?
Sure. So
yes, now
the question is it really true that the immigration gives visas to the mטפלים that doesn't have visas for 4 years? Will the immigration give visas now to make them legal or no way? So is that, I'm guessing.
Yes,
it's for Dudu. Yes.
It's a good time for who don't have a legal visa to go to corporation and to tell them that you want now to want to work like to be a מטפל, and we are מאשרים את זה, improve it. So if someone want to be work at legal in this day, yes, we are should go to corporation and we are improve it this רישום. רחל, איך אנחנו רושמים את זה?
So let me try and explain it. So because of the circumstances, if you're illegal now, wait, now you're on mute.
No, he's not on mute. He's mute. He's okay.
רק אגיד, אני פשוט, אני נשמע מקוטע, אבל אני רק אגיד שכרגע זו הזדמנות טובה לבוא, ללכת לתאגידים, ללכת לקורפוריישן ולהירשם, כי גם מי שלא היה רשום עד עכשיו באופן חוקי, כרגע אנחנו כן רושמים, אנחנו כן נרשום אותם באופן חוקי, וזו הזדמנות שלהם להיות חוקיים.
וואו, זה משמעותי מאוד.
Okay, that's really important to say. So I'll explain that in English. If you are currently, or if you have friends that you know are here illegal, and they want to stay in Israel and they want to become legal, they can go to the corporation, and this is a window of opportunity to become legal in the country as well. Can I ask a question about that?
כן, אבל לפני כן, כל זה בתנאי שהם עד 63 חודשים בארץ.
אוקיי.
That's...
זה עדיין מוגבל, אלא אם כן דרך מיוחדת או ויזה הומניטרית, אז הם יכולים להיות עד 8 שנים בארץ.
Okay, so that's if you're in the country up to 63 months. If it's a humanitarian visa, it can be 8 years. Corporation is the חברת סיעוד, the care agency.
The תאגיד.
Tagid, sorry, the Tagid. That's the corporation. The corporation that deals with the visas. That was the question. Do you have to be working with a family right now for this to happen? Or can you be, in between families and say you want to be legal?
Okay, if you are not working now in the family and you are between the works.
Okay, so that works as well. So if you're in between families and you want a family to work with, you can also come. So you don't have to have a family to be able to do this process now. Okay, that's really, really good to know. Thank you.
So somebody asked what corporation? Any corporation probably, Dudu. נכון? Any corporation you go, it's okay.
Well, I say that we have 90 corporation in
all the legal corporations, it's okay. All the legal corporations that are in the list of the authority, it's okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll say thank you to Michal. Thank you, Dudu. Thank you all for joining us and for be interactive like this. It's very nice to meet you a couple of times a week. We will send the recording, as I said, we will send it here to the chat, to the WhatsApp group, and you can see it also in our website in caregivers.org.il, and look for the next webinar, and we will meet you there. Thank you and good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay.